In this lesson, we're going to look at how we can animate our HTML elements using jQuery. So let's open up our editor. In the previous one, we looked at how we can toggle, and now we're going to add in animate. So the idea here is that we're going to animate all of our HTML and body content and move it up depending on which item from the menu we're selecting. So we're going to do a scroll, and we're going to scroll the whole browser window, all of that HTML element that's contained within the body, all the way up, and animate it to scroll right up to the top. So the first thing that we need to do is be able to pick out what and where that particular section is located and how far off of the top it's located. So we've got a way that we're picking up the index of the current available item, and I'm going to set another variable here, and I'm going to call it section top, and this is going to give us a value of where each section is located and what the top of the section is. So depending on which one we click, we're going to use this index value to pick up and find out what the value is of the wrapper. So we're going to just reuse this value here, and I can hide and remove that. And so we need to get a value of offset. So current coordinates of the first element, or set of coordinates of every element in that set of. So basically we're getting the offset. And the value that we want to return back is top. And we can console log this out at first, so I can show you what the value is that we're getting. So essentially, just to run through this one more time, so we've got a whole bunch of list items here, 5 list items. We have 5 sections within the wrapper. And so what we're doing whenever one of these list items gets clicked, so that's this line here, whenever the list item gets clicked, then we're toggling the color, the class to red, so we know which one's been actually clicked. So when we click it, it'll toggle on and off the class of red. So we'll just leave that in for now. And variable A, so what we're doing here is we're selecting the current object, we're getting the parent of the current object, so we're moving up to the unordered list, and then we're listing out all the children, so list items. So we see that we've got 5 list items, and we're picking up the index value of the one that's currently selected, which matches this object. So if we've selected about, then we're turning back all of this information, and we're matching to the index value of this and returning it as a variable of A. And then within the next one, we're actually using that variable A. So we're doing wrapper.children. So this is all of the children that are underneath that wrapper div. And we've got section, so we've got a number of sections here as children. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we also have a footer. So we actually have 6 children in there, but we're only utilizing the first 5. And this is what makes this script dynamic, because if we update and if we add them in, we can have more children, we can have more list items, and so on. So this line of code, we're selecting that element, that section, that is equal to the index value that we've returned over here. And then here we're just getting a value of offset. So we're figuring out where this element is located and how far off the top it is, and that's the value that we're returning back in the console. So let's check this out now. So whenever I click home, I see that it's in position 190. So this is roughly around 190 picks till we hit home. Next, we've got 1063. So that's the About Me section. So the idea here is that we want to animate the web page and have it scroll to those sections that we're selecting. So let's try this out and see how this works out. So we need to make our selection again, and we're selecting that whole HTML element, and we're selecting the whole body because we want everything to animate over to that specific location. So we move the whole content window all the way up. And so we've got animate here, and here's where we specify what we want to do with animate, and here's what we specify how quickly it's going to be done in milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds is equivalent to 1 second. So scroll, so here is what we can do. We can scroll it to the left, scroll it to the top, and what we want to do is scroll to the top because we want it moving horizontal or vertically. And we're just going to take that same variable that we're outputting here. So this is just a numeric value. And let's try this out now. So open up the web page, and we've got an error there. So I've got an unexpected token there, and of course this is within an object. So we would comma separate it out if we had other items there within that animation that we were doing. So let's go back out and refresh that again. So going to the top, so if we want to see services, we see that we can scroll down to the services. If we want to see about, we can see that we scroll the page automatically to about, and so on. So this is how we can create that scrolling effect, and we probably should take out this menu and have it in a static position so that it's not moving. So maybe we could do that as well, because whenever we're scrolling our entire contents, then we're actually losing the menu where we have to scroll back up to the top. So that's not really an ideal situation. So what I want to do, I set up one called navbar, and for navbar, so we're gonna display it, and so we've got some different options here how to display it. So we'll just do a display block and position. So this is some CSS fixed position, so it doesn't move. We'll do top, so how far off the top it is, and how far off the left side it is. And also maybe we should add in a background color. So do background color, and we'll just specify this as a good background color. Beautify it, save it, and let's go back into here and see how this works. So now when we click it, so we've got this kind of hovering menu here, and we can click and move to any one of the different sections just by clicking it. So this is where animate comes in, and animate is just so super useful when it comes to updating and creating that really nice interaction for users. And with animate, so I want to give you another example of how we can string a few things together using animate. So I'm going to create some more CSS here, and with animate, one of the best positions is to set it up as a position of absolute. So I'm going to select out this output here so that this one's not moving, and we'll display it as position absolute. So this will give me the ability to do some nice animations for it, and maybe I'll do a background color as well on it. So when we refresh it, so we've got our output there, and I should move this over maybe to the right side. I've got to give it some height and width as well, so height. So I don't have any content in there right now, so we need to be able to see it. And let's refresh that again now. So now we've got that output there. So let's create some animation on that output. So some real quick animation that just to give a better example of what we can do with that. So I'm going to add in a click event on that output. So output, when it gets clicked, let's animate it. So selecting, we can use this, because we've already got that object now selected, adding an animate. And maybe we're going to do a simple animation where we move the whole box whenever it gets clicked, maybe left, maybe do some opacity to it as well. So those are a few of the common properties that we might be setting within our animation. So we do opacity, and we're going to do left. And so what we want to do with left, we want to move it, increment it by 100 pixels. And here is where we set the timing of this, so 1000 milliseconds. And we can also add in one additional property. So this can fire off when all of that is completed. So we could do another function in here as well, but for now let's just do a console log. and just type ready. So let's check this out now, and we refresh it and see what happens. So whenever I click on it, and it looks like I got an issue there as well. So I missed one of the brackets there. Just adding that back in, let's open up our browser. So now whenever we click on output, we see that it goes opacity, we see that it moves, and when it finishes moving, it fires off ready. So that's how you can add in animation, and there's quite a lot you can do with the animation because you can really customize how you want that particular element to move around within your page using Animate.